Welcome to Stephen Johnson Stocks. Good and bad week. Good. I had my biggest trade ever. I took $2,300 on a short. Bad. Really kind of demonstrated some bad signs of bad discipline. Shorting a gap around multi-year highs, trading before 8 a.m. when the volume isn't high enough and you don't know what they are going to do, even if the stock is fundamentally terrible. Trading too much size on the front side. I should be a quarter size max and then going heavy on the back side. And just not losing control and not switching biases. Like, I got over emotional in a trade again, and yeah, I made like 650 this week, but could have been a lot more. Interesting tweet by Stephen Docks. I'm sorry if you can hear some building noise outside. Stupid Dubai. But first stage is you don't know what you're doing. You follow others and you lose money. Second phase is you know what you're doing, but you can't stop over trading and you lose money. The third is that you start winning, and then you get emotional, take huge lot positions, and you take a big loss. You have a big ego, then you lose money. And the fourth stage is learning how to control emotions and sticking to what you know to win. And I feel like I'm a bit in stage 3 because I was like kind of over trading in this area. This is kind of stage 2, but I knew what I was doing, and then this is kind of all stage 1. Then stage 3, I figured out what to do. Small wins, size up, get overconfident, then boom, big loss. This was like a $4,000 month, and it turned into like a $5,000 loss, making it a 1K negative month. And then after that, I had a really bad month. And then in April and May, started like February, I had 3 green weeks, started trading more, had a nice month, had an okay month. And in this month, I was up about $5,000. I started to bank like 1K weeks, and then I took like a $9,000 loss. And which turned out to be like -4. So this is what happens when you start winning quite consistently. You start sizing up, and then all of a sudden, boom, $4,000 loss, and then boom, $2,000 loss. And yeah, I mean, this week's been a lot better. Started with a smaller account. I've got like a 4,500 account. Just made like little 100 days, made 300 on this day, and then started getting really kind of cocky, and not cocky, but I can't accept the loss after I've been winning. And it's something I really need to work on. I need to kind of think, if you have one red trade, you're done for the day. And do not trade before 8 a.m. But you'll see why in a whirlwind Friday. Now, I made a few mistakes with CLPS, some really bad ones, really bad demonstration of discipline, which is concerning for me, very concerning. Now, the first thing is, it's a gap and crap, but the first thing is this is its high of day in its history. I mean, if you just go back, actually, maybe there's that is the high of day. So it's kind of an all-time breakout, and there's no resistance levels to play off, and these aggressive shorting the first green day moves are difficult enough as it is. So the first key mistake is shorting one at multi-year highs with no resistance to play off. Very kind of basic, I know. The second mistake is I knew fundamentally that the company was losing money. It needed to raise money. Its financials, it's making loss after loss. So I knew that this stock would come down quite lightly today, unless it traded something huge like 20, 30, 40 million volume. But it didn't. It traded only 12, and there was an indication it was going to trade around 12 because it was trading about a mil pre-market. But the mistake I made was coming in short around this kind of area here. I was shorting before 8 o'clock, so that's the second lesson I really need to learn. Don't short before 8 o'clock ever, because it's light volume. You don't know how the stock's going to react. It doesn't matter if the fundamental reasons are bad. When people are just looking for the next top percent gainer, anything can run, and when it starts to run, it runs. And you don't know who's pushing the price of this up to help the company raise money in the future. Like, you don't know what they are going to do. And this was a hard lesson. So, I was short, cut high of day, and then I was short again around the 9 o'clock area, cut high of day. Then when it started to flag pre-market, I was short, cut high of day, and all in all, I lost about $1,300 through these 3 short attempts. Mostly I lost at the open. And then once I did catch the top, I kind of made some money back on the short, shorting around this kind of double top, cover, short, cover. But none of the trade details matter. And then when I really fucked up is when I broke this downtrend. I decided to go long and lost about seven or 800 here. And I'd made back everything bar about 600, and then I lost about 800 here. Then I went long again, and I kind of lost on this break, sorry, on this dip. And then I went short. And then I ripped all the way back up to the nines, and I ended up losing about, yeah, like I say, like $2,300. But most of it, I lost about, I made everything back, minus 600 on this downtrend, and then I give it all back plus another 1,300 or whatever. So it's 2,300 down on the ticker by switching biases in this choppy action, getting chopped up, and then ultimately shorting when it did break. So I just completely fucked up the middle and end. But the point is, I should have just never been in the trade in the first place, and there's three reasons why. I'll repeat them. One, should never be taking a short before 8 o'clock because you don't know what they are going to do. Two, you should never be shorting a stock at multi-year highs. And three, you should never be switching biases in a stock. If you're in it because you're short biased, then you're in it because it's short biased. Like, if it's going to fucking squeeze, then that's one thing. But to short a stock on kind of lightish volume with fundamentally bad reasons to be long is stupid. And it was a stupid trade. And this one really kind of saved the day for me. I was lucky because I was watching MRMD as one of the top percent gainers. It was one of kind of four stocks that I was watching for a kind of a first red day. And it was lucky, I was chatting to a pal, a kid called Sonny, and he was like, "No, I'm really watching this." And I'm like, "I'm watching it too, but I wasn't watching it as closely as you're watching it." And then that made me kind of look in more detail at it and look a bit closer at it, and it really saved the day for me because it's like it's kind of a wheat stock, but the wheat sector is not really up. We can see this like kind of nice multi-month breakout, but since that and then before it had a multi-month breakout here, but it's essentially up from the ones to the fours. It's desperately in need of a kind of a red day or some sort of profit taking. I don't know how long the people propping this can prop it. So I was just waiting for it to come down, and we know historically from all of the other weed stocks. I mean, if you just look at maybe cannabis is not the right one to pick because I don't, the ends on the keyboard don't work. But we can see these stocks kind of run, crash hard, run, crash hard, run, crash hard. So, I mean, I was just expecting the same thing from MRMD, which is also a kind of a weed stock. So we had this kind of this washout, and then this they basically saved it. I mean, it's a bit of kind of trickery because most people shorting would have been like shorting based off this level. So they would have like they'll be adding when it breaks through the resistance thing, and this is going to panic down. But what actually happened is that it kind of got in. A lot of dip buyers would have been kind of dip buying and cutting losses here because the thing now it's fell through support. But the whoever's propping this kind of tricked everyone, let it run through the level, and then they saved it and pushed it all the way back up, which kind of fucks longs and fucks shorts. But where I got involved was where it's kind of slowly kind of fading off, fading off, fading off in the afternoon. I started adding as it was like kind of like dipping, 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 just because I'm really risking the kind of the higher day, like 20 cents, and the downside is like a buck. So it's like 5, 6, 7 to 1 risk reward. I was thinking if this does crack, because it's due to crack, and it's kind of making these lower highs, just needs one little crack, and then if the promoters don't save it, they don't save it. And whoever's pushing it, I don't know who it is. But yeah, and once it cracked, I held this bounce patiently. I had a pretty big position size because I thought it was good risk reward. And I held this, and then when it washed all the way down, I was kind of covering down into this huge panic, and then I added on the bounce, and then I covered on the way down here, and it basically saved the week, saved the month. And I'll just leave it with what Doug said earlier, how the last thing is just overcoming your emotions when you kind of know what to do. And I've really had a lot of help recently, which I keep on saying, but I have, and I've really been taught the correct process, and I've learned the correct process of how to really trade good risk reward, good plans, the right setups that give you the right risk reward. And I did slip up on that gapper. Because the risk reward wasn't there, especially that time in the morning. But now that I know the idea, not the fundamentals, but now that I know the exact perfect way to trade specific setups, I can continue doing this in the new setups now that I've really refined the gap and crap kind of strategy to a whole nother level, I feel like more green weeks will come, more green months will come. Yes, there'll be slips in discipline, but now that I know exactly what to do and how to do it, it's just kicking the bad habit out, kicking the bad habit out, kicking the bad habit out every time it creeps in. And this should be the worst I trade. So if the worst I trade is kind of a 650 green week, even a 1500 red week, as long as it's not worse than that, and I can build the good weeks, the 1K weeks, the 2K weeks, which will come as my discipline improves with constant effort and reminders and attention. Like I'm a fucking mess sometimes. Like look, I'm fucking 1 minute I'm skinny, the next minute I'm fat. The 1 minute I'm not drinking, the next minute I'm drinking. The 1 minute I want a girlfriend, the next minute I'm just fucking random bitches. Like I'm like a fucking nightmare for self-control because I love being crazy because it's fun. But then you get the other side of it, and it's not fun. I mean, I look like a fucking Cochrane right now. You know them big beards? My hair is mental. The only thing I'm disciplined at is having a good haircut, and that is not something to be proud of.